Welcome to Mindfully Augmented, where we talk about living with intention in a world that is shaped by technology. I'm A.
And I'm B, and this episode is brought to you by Potential Synergy. Potential Synergy is the company behind the Treehouse and Hierarchy of Needs app, and they are shaping our world in a way that AI and XR can help us live to our full potential. And today's episode happens to be about our identity in a world of AI and XR. And so today I wanted to just kind of ask you, in a world that is challenging consistently, how we identify, what we identify as. I think I wanted to really kind of explore, now that we're getting news every day about something AI related, something technologically based that is really just challenging what we think of as being human. And questioning who we're going to be over the next 5 years, let alone over the next 100 to 1,000. That we just took some time to really explore that concept. What is our identity? Like, how do you identify, and how is that going to stay, or how do you feel like you'll be able to stay rooted in who you are as the conditions that kind of used to give you feedback as to who you are consistently change?
That is such a good question. And you find me at a crossroads right now where I thought that building an online identity was going to be imperative for my future. And I quickly found that I'm so burned out from trying to build that persona online that I'm retrieving more and more into not wanting to deal with any of that. So at the moment it's not that I'm in denial of the importance and the need that you have to develop a persona that in an identity that allows you to thrive in this world, but I am completely frozen because I have no sense of direction right now. And I don't know if other people are feeling the same way or it's just me. I was just listening to one of the podcasts of Stephen Bartlett of Diary CEO where he was talking to an ex Google, and Stephen said that his girlfriend said that people are going to be divided into the ones that are going to just focus on relationships and hands-on skills and more smaller groups, and then the other ones are going to be fully like chip on AI 100%. So it's not that I'm one or the other, it's like I have no idea. I am so overloaded with the amount of information that's out there that if you ask me today, I cannot give you a straight answer.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're alone on that at all. I would argue anyone listening to the show is in a very similar spot. If you've tried, anyone who's tried to tackle the amount of information that is coming in, I can't imagine that there's anyone that actually can process the amount of information that they're being. No, I can't say that I am able to process everything.
You are exceeding the amount of processing that you can. Because it's an area that you are highly invested and you're interested. But the amount of processing that I see you being able to comprehend and internalize and then come with solutions versus mine, that I literally think my brain is mashed potatoes at the moment.
So is mine. So is mine. I can't, and really that's why I thought this was a good time to kind of talk through that, because this is the challenge, right? The water is rising, and our boats won't naturally rise with the expectations of the moment. The amount of information that is going to continue to get thrown at us has pretty much maxed out, I would argue, everybody else's capacity, which means that most people are going to have to rely on a technology to help them manage the amount of information. So that will ultimately change who we are. I mean, I would
Hmm.
argue that that's exactly what's happened already with smartphones. Like the amount of expectation that the world has on you with your email,
Yeah.
with being able to contact with you on a regular basis. It's not that you uh, can do all those things without that technology and still live a certain lifestyle within society these days. No, people's identity have changed. I would argue that our own kids, their identity has changed based on the amount of information that they're expected to consume and regurgitate in social settings as well.
Hmm.
How they speak, the memes that they know, the references to the funny things that happened on multiple shows, even whether they watched those shows or not, they're expected to understand this information. And if we took them out of those environments, it will have an effect on who they think they are.
Mm.
Or if we take away their ability to communicate in those environments, that will also affect who they think they are. So I don't think the question is this overwhelming us or not? Because I think the answer is absolutely yes. I
Yeah.
don't think the question is, are you alone in this overwhelmingness? I
Well,
think anybody should recognize, like, we're not alone in this. We all handle it to different degrees, but
yeah.
we're all overwhelmed here.
And maybe it's the environment that I'm like navigating at the moment, but it's not that AI is at the center of the conversation. It's like, oh yeah, well, something new happened with AI. It's like, oh well, I have something else to do. So it's not at the forefront of the, okay, we need to organize, we need to understand, we need to elevate, we need to build this skill set, we need to. It's more of like, yeah, no, I can't even with all this informations.
Yeah.
um but it's not that I don't want to. I think it's important. I think I want to stay. I want to thrive, but I want to understand what it is. What's going to be asked of me, because it's unprecedented. Like we
Hmm.
have no role models,
Yeah.
and the people that are that are ahead of us, I don't necessarily consider as role models in shaping the future.
Yeah. And and the reality is, anybody that is shaping the future, they are a flawed human regardless. So
Yeah.
like, there, it's not that we're going to necessarily be able to find a role model as to uh, how we should be,
Mm.
um, that isn't ultimately going to be defined from within first. Like, I think the
Yeah.
best role model is going to probably be the version of yourself that you can imagine being able to deal with everything that you're experiencing, and then working towards that
But
version
I
of
think it's
yourself.
not clear what it is that we're going to experience, right? We
Oh
have
yeah.
this big waves of like AI is coming, it's going to disrupt everything. Your life is not going to be the way that it was, that life as we know it. And yet we're moving the same way. We have not made any changes, and we really don't understand what it is that we need to change. The same way when COVID was coming our way, we didn't had a grasp of what it is that we had to fundamentally change in order to keep each other safe, at least for the at the in the initial stages.
Yeah.
I feel like we are at the initial stages. We have this sense of urgency where we need to be able to provide for our families, we need to provide for our communities. This technology is advancing rapidly, but we still don't understand that what's the direct impact that it's going to have on us, and what is that we need to do. And by the time that maybe we understand what we need to do, it will be too late.
Yeah. And
So
that,
what do
yeah.
you do with all that besides just, i'm I am going to thumb for a little bit because
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and I would love to hear if anybody has any thoughts on that, like what to do with the overwhelmingness. Um, because I feel like a lot of people go into therapy, a lot of people go into religion,
yeah.
they go into their communities, they go into their hobbies, and I think that is that the strong desire to escape.
Hmm.
Because yeah, rightfully so. It's changing, it's maxed out our capacity. It's
Yeah.
it's changing everything around us so much that it's just becoming white noise so much. But like, I'm curious, how do you who do you I I I appreciate that you're basically saying like I can't see beyond the waterfall at this point. Like
Mm,
there's so much cascading down that the idea to look beyond this moment
yeah.
is even that question in and of itself is too much. And I do appreciate it. So maybe switch this question a little bit, um, and kind of maybe I'll give a little frame of what we're potentially stepping into.
Yeah, because there are
And
many
there are
scenarios,
many,
right?
many
There are many
scenarios, but
scenarios.
I'm going to go with an optimistic one here
Okay.
because there's too many that the ones that aren't necessarily optimistic don't really they're not necessarily helpful to discuss to some extent, to a large extent.
Well, can you prepare for those scenarios? And if the answer is no, then like,
Exactly.
well,
Exactly.
might not. Let's not focus on this.
Exactly. So focusing on a potential future that is a little bit on the more optimistic side. There are a lot of people who are leaning into the idea that so much of our day to day lives are going to be taken care of, where we used to
Well, we
just
will have time
uh,
back. Oh,
where yeah, exactly, we're going to have more time back than we've ever expected to have. In
mm,
fact, that's kind of where the conversation of identity really stems from, is that
mm,
like so much of our culture has been built on what do you do, how much you have, and who are you in the eyes of everybody else, which was largely driven by
a capitalist
by
society.
yeah, by exactly, by financial means.
Yeah.
So assuming that we are stepping into a world where that doesn't matter anymore, it
Mm,
doesn't matter as much anymore, um, who do you imagine you want to be when the most the most important thing that you can really do is provide for yourself and people within arm's reach,
mm-hmm.
and maybe the people next door to you,
Yeah.
but other than that, like there's not really going to be much more for you to do. What who do you want to be? How do you want to
Yeah.
identify
I
within that
think
world and that reality?
I yeah, I think continue doing what I'm doing, which is building connection and community and spending time and building culture, traditions, um, quality of time. And this is something that we can truly learn from South American countries, where they ace at connection. They ace at connection and living, and they don't have necessarily the most richest country by the GDP,
Hmm.
but they are happy. So I ultimately, that's what I want. I want to have more time to be able to connect with people
Yeah.
and spend time and eat good food and just embrace everything that we can for the time that we can, and be with as many people as that want to be in my circle.
Hmm.
um Definitely I don't want to have 100 people in my circle. I'm just more of a close knit kind of person. uh and
Small circle, but a really close,
solid
tight.
circle,
Yeah.
solid circle, which has been most of my life. And I think maybe that's why also I have a harder time of being so present on social media, because it's not necessarily something that I do as easy. I don't think I have like that gift of being able to reach as much. Um, but if I don't have to worry about the next paycheck, my retirement, my health insurance, my mortgage, and all those things, I just want to spend time with the people that I love. I want to play with the people that I love, and I want to eat good food.
Yeah. Who do you imagine having? Well, before I ask that question, I should say I agree. Like I think
What
that
about you?
I think if we've gotten to the point where there isn't anything for us to do, like there isn't some fake goal that humanity
Yeah.
has hung on itself that we're
Mm-hmm.
all racing towards,
Yeah.
which to some extent I think that that's still going to exist. I think there's still going to be some kind of thing that society, culture kind of
I
says,
mean,
hey, look at this, you can achieve this thing,
yeah.
and that many people will try
Yeah, but
to
then
go
it's gonna
for.
be more achievable in terms like you will have a robot that will do it for you.
Yeah, but I'm saying there might be even things beyond that, like
Mm.
like a cosmonaut, where it allows like the we're looking for the next generation
Oh
of people, and these are the
yes.
people that are going to be the things that we look up to, because they're going to be to some extent like a godlike status, because it's
Mm.
so unattainable.
Yeah.
We're talking about one in a billion chance opportunity to even possibly be seen in this light, that like that would be really huge, and that's going to be an opportunity. But for most people, it'll just be like, no, I get to chill, and my life is just what it means for
I
me to
am
like
very
live. And
boring person.
I feel like a
That's
lot of people are going to be down
and
for
I'm
that, really,
okay
though.
with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm so okay with that, with just like enjoying the simple things.
Mhm.
Coming from a Mediterranean culture, we're enjoying the small things and the dolce far niente, which means the sweetness of doing nothing,
Mhm.
represents and embodies who I am. Uh, I just want to be able to do that without feeling guilty, because now it's always covered with this veil of guilt or shame if you take a break, or if you take like more than a 5 minute break because you have to go back to doing stuff. So ultimately rewiring my brain to not feel guilty, to enjoy the slow paced life.
Yeah, and it just so happens that I was sharing with you the information that I had learned, that like America had finally reached this point where the statistically the richest of America's population, the U.S.'s population, is actually less healthy than many of the poorest of Europe.
And I say I truly believe that,
Yeah.
having spent the summer in Europe, it's a complete I there is a completely different feeling. um and I ate absolutely everything and beyond, and I felt great, and I slept great, and I had a bunch of connections. It was very social summer. um
Yeah. Welcome back from Switzerland.
Thank you, I missed you. But and then coming here, whereas like again, that rat race mindset where we need to stay relevant, we're building an AI, we need to show our product, we need to get the VCs, we need to get, and I'm like, I cannot wait to not do any of that. And I understand a lot of people thrive with that,
Hmm.
right? An adrenaline, it's an identity, and they absolutely love it. Don't. I don't.
Yeah. So the identity for you, the future, is actually quite welcome,
I'm a
because
turtle.
you get to do what you've been looking for, which is relax. Which I think is what, honestly, I think that that's what most people are feeling, that they're just overwhelmed, and they look forward to a time where they're not
I
consistently
feel like
constantly
people of
stimulated.
our age and above, and maybe people a little bit older. I am an old soul for my age. I think young kids definitely don't want to be relaxing as much as having fun and exploring and I don't know. But for my experience and the people who are around me, we are all having the same conversations. Whereas like I am not enjoying being an adult. I have not I am not living life by the way that I thought that I was going to live life once I became an adult, and I want to relax for 5 minutes in peace and not feel guilty.
Yeah, yeah. So the question's going to be for most people, as things continue, is are people finding that they can actually get to that form? Are they? I'm curious, in collective, like as you're looking at the aggregate of all of us, like, are we actually stepping towards a, a point where we can relax, where we can identify of not having to be some online persona, or
Yeah.
some um, billionaire, millionaire, like that made it big, or some celebrity that made, like, are we actually stepping away from these identities that have been core to how we've been raised and what we've been told that we're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and actually are we making this shift towards something that's just able to just relax and enjoy life, or not. I think that's going to be a great measure
I
for
think so,
for
but
everyone.
also the reality is, as much as I want to, that goal of being, we can only relax if everybody else is relaxing, right? If you know, like, then you still relax with guilt, because if you know that the people on the other side of the world are still suffering, they're not getting nutrition, they're dealing with political issues, like, we need everybody to be able, that should be like the beginning for everyone. Everybody can relax, everybody's taken care of, then you can choose whether you want to do that extra. But until everybody gets to that point, I think we have so much to do, and I don't think I'll be able to relax.
Is that's what it's coming to? It's coming
Yeah.
back to, like, it's a good dream,
It is a
but
dream, but then it's my consciousness. It's a very loud one.
mm, yeah, there is a lot to consider, and that's
So
part of the
much.
issue. That's part of the noise. That's part of, I think, the root of the question is, how are we identifying? Because, like, how do we connect and how do we see ourselves as human when the future's here? It's just not evenly distributed. You have these amazing, this abundance of wealth and capability and resources on one end, and then there's other areas of the world that you could actually affect. But to affect,
Yeah.
you have to give away the things that you've been you've been privileged to get, that not everybody
Yeah.
else is. And so then it does play into that, like,
Well,
well,
they were
can you
mentioning in the
how can you relax?
podcast, the Diary of CEO, is that you won't necessarily have to give away your things. You
Hmm.
just need to not want to hurt people.
Yeah, I think what
That's and the
I hear
utopia
that.
that they were
Yeah.
discussing and trying to build.
Well, I hear that, but during the transition till we get to that point,
Yeah.
like, I think what we're all experiencing currently at the beginning of this transition, and
Mm.
I think we're increasingly going to feel, is that our own peace of mind, the people who are lucky enough to turn off all that information, they're doing it at the expense of the health and well-being of other people.
Yeah.
We're so overwhelmed with information that it's forcing us to disconnect, but we're also disconnecting at a time where people need each other more than
More
ever.
than ever, yeah.
And so that's really kind of why it plays into, like, who are we going to choose to be in these hard times?
Yeah.
It's not straightforward, and anybody who can, I mean, I used to believe that any time, any of the stuff that we're seeing now, I was like, oh, there's no way that people wouldn't stand up, rise up, we would take things in the direction that we need to be, because it
Mm.
was, like, clear what the right thing is. I was so wrong on it being clear what the right thing is, first of
Right.
all. I misunderstood my own capacity of just
There's the
being
other one too.
able to handle, like, well, oh, I have to get up, I have to go over there, I got to do this thing, and then I also have to come back and I've got to take care of myself and my family in a very specific way, and it's like, oh wow, I don't have the capacity to do those things. And then
And then you freeze
yeah, and then I'm
on
dealing with
both
my own
ends.
limitations, my own freeze,
Right.
and then witnessing that happen across everybody that I know, and
Mm.
then seeing that it's like, oh, it's not just my own limited capacity. I get to witness firsthand the lack of capacity that everybody else has, that leads to these historic issues, these historic moments in time where we used to look back and be like, how could we possibly have done these things? And it's because we did not build systems that allowed us to support ourselves and each other in a way
Yeah.
that we could maximize our capacity like, really help ourselves and those around us sufficiently.
Yeah.
And so it's it's obviously, like,
We
all
don't
our
have the
conversations, like,
answers.
yeah, and like all of our conversations, we open up like a can of worms, and
And
then
we leave it open.
we leave it open.
And then we go have dinner.
And then we're like, well, that
It's
was the
dinner
show.
time,
But
yeah.
I think that really is
But
as
at
much as
least
we're
it's
gonna
open.
dive in. At least it's open.
I think it's at least is open, and then hopefully one day in the near future we can come back with a much more clear mind, more resources, and saying, oh, okay, we said this, and because we said this, then we were able to do this and this and this. That's my hope.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think that's a great place to leave it. This episode of the Mindfully Augmented podcast was brought to you by Potential Synergy. Please check them out at potentialsynergy.com to see all the things that they're developing. And until next time.
Yes, indeed.